On Saturday, we reported that a Good Samaritan had rescued a woman from the Snake River in Idaho Falls. We were able to track down who the rescuer was. His name is Dane Entze, and he's from Utah. We're glad to be speaking with him now over Zoom. Dane, thanks for talking to us today.
You're welcome.
Walk me through what happened. This woman, from what I understand, drove her car into the river. It was around 10 a.m. Saturday. That's what officials told us. Can you walk me through what happened?
So my wife and I were actually headed back up to her parents' house. We live up in Ammon. We were out actually getting away for our 11th anniversary, and we're heading back to pick up the kids from Grandma's house. And we got off the highway, I-15, headed north towards Ammon. And, we're pretty fond of that area where the docks are. In fact, that's where we went on our first date. And so, it wasn't uncommon for us to glance down there, just kind of reminisce a bit. And we're talking a little bit about that area. We understand there is, kind of some eventful stories in the last couple of weeks or month or so, related to that area anyway. But we were glancing down there, and my wife, looked down there and she's like, "Oh my goodness, there's a car driving in the river." And we're just like, "Is there anyone around?" And so we're looking around, and, immediately I told my wife immediately to call 911, regardless if anyone else was down there. And so she calls 911, and we got off right on the other side of the bridge at the next exit and circled back around. I wasn't exactly sure how to get to the spot to drive to it. And we ended up on the on-ramp again, getting back on the highway. But I was like, this is as close as we're going to get. So we stopped right there on the on-ramp. And I told my wife, I was like, I got to get out because there's no one there. And so we stopped there. I jump out, climb over the barbed wire fence, run across the canal. And just as I arrive, there's a woman swimming in the water. And she was, a good ways off the shore. Her car had already started floating down. And she was clearly distraught. I was, besides the scene, I was saddened to hear that she said she wanted to die. And she couldn't understand why she wasn't still in the car. Evidently, when the car started sinking, it flushed her out of the window. And I talked to her for a second. I was well aware of how dangerous that area is. It's a very dangerous area, definitely not a swim-worthy area. I saw that she was starting to make her way towards the shore, and I talked to her as she was moving because, at this point, I didn't feel it was necessary to just jump in and rush in. Besides, I didn't want her to panic or anything. I wanted her to just keep doing what she was doing, working her way towards the shore. And she got just a short distance off the shore, and, all the time telling me of how, life is hard and everything. And then at that point, she actually stopped and started heading back out to the water. She clearly didn't want to come all the way to the shore. So as soon as I saw that she was starting to go back out, at that point, I jumped in, and I got out to her and pulled her to the shore. And by that point, another gentleman had arrived and helped me pull her all the way up onto the shore. My wife was able to get a hold of 911. The EMTs were on their way. My wife actually got there before they did, and we grabbed all the blankets out of the car that we had, and I stripped off her coat and her sweater, and then we wrapped her up, and I just held her for a while until EMTs arrived, and I handed the scene over to them. But it was certainly cold, but I didn't notice that until I handed everything over and I kind of started calming down. At that point, it got pretty cold.
Yeah, I bet. So this whole ordeal, how big of a space of time was this?
Well, we got over there within a matter of minutes from where we were on the highway. And then between me arriving at the scene, where her car was, it was all of about, oh, I would say probably 5 to 10 minutes is
Wow.
how long it took.
Yeah. Wow. So you guys had already called 911. First
Yeah.
responders were on the way. What possessed you to jump in the water? Why did you do that?
Uh, it, you know, I had to calculate kind of everything. I tried to keep the head about me. I'm grateful I didn't have to go all the way out to the car. But, I knew that she didn't have a lot of time anyway. We look at it, that we had to break through some ice just to get to the shore. Not to mention the temperatures outside, and she was slowing down, by any means, she was slowing down and running out of steam. Even if she wanted to get on shore, she wasn't going to be able to do it on her own. And there's in water like that, you can't wait. You can't wait for EMTs to arrive. And even then they'd have to assess the situation themselves. And so I just took the initiative and it was time.
So once you got her out, you just held her for a few minutes. How long until first responders arrived?
They actually arrived. It was really maybe a minute or two that they got there.
Okay.
So we had enough time to get her jacket off and get her sweater off, get some of the wet clothes off, and wrap her up in the blankets that we had. And we just wrapped her, as much as we could. And then I just held her close to help keep her warm and rub her shoulders and get her warmed up again.
Yeah. Wow. And then at that point you turned her over to them and
Yeah.
you just left, right?
Yeah, we just left.
And then, so you were visiting family. So did you go to her family, your wife's family's house after that?
Yes. Yeah, we went straight to my wife's family. We hadn't seen our kids in a couple of days, and it was my wife and I both got emotional on the drive to my in-laws' house up in Hammond. Gave us a lot of pause. Just like anyone, we have struggles going on in life, and to think about people being at their wits' end to that extent, whatever the reason, gave us a lot of pause. And so we wanted to just go straight to our kids and hold our kids for our own selves.
Yeah, I'm sure you gave them extra hugs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure. So after all this has happened, you've had a few days to kind of recover, for lack of a better word, from all of this. As you now have processed this and kind of thought through it, what's your thoughts? What's on your mind?
I've actually been following the story a bit online, and the comments have again got me a couple times. I think what's been on my mind the most is just how people need good stories, something uplifting, something good. I never thought I'd be the subject of that by any means, and nor do I feel attention should be on me at all. And for that reason, I didn't say anything to, make myself known. To the public. Family and some close friends knew about what was going on, but reflecting on it is, right place at the right time. We had some other plans that morning, but we changed our plans, and there we were. So.
Yeah. A lot of people have connections to people who struggle with mental illness. And over the last few years, we've seen an increase in things like this, where people, for whatever reason, don't want to be around anymore. Do you have any personal connections to people like this in your life?
I do, actually. Yeah, I do. I have a close friend that struggled with this, and I had the same sense. It didn't matter whether he was a friend versus this person. I still had the sense of a lot of sadness that a permanent solution to a temporary problem in a lot of cases. And so I thought a lot about my friend as well. And I wasn't around when it happened, when he struggled at that moment, but we certainly have family and friends that struggle.
Yeah. Well, Dane, I mean, I know that you didn't do this for personal recognition or for any benefit to yourself whatsoever, but when all is said and done, you saved that woman's life. And that was a very heroic thing. You're a hero. I mean, this woman lives another day because of you. What is your message to people who may be struggling?
Straight up, when I talked to her, she said, I want to die. Life is terrible. I said, look, I don't know who you are, but I'm here and I love you. There's a lot of people, just because you don't know them, doesn't mean you're not loved. And for me, that was a message I tried to get her, is that you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that want to help. It doesn't have to be an extreme situation like this, but there's lots of people that want to help. And I was just grateful to be there at that time to help her. But ultimately, for anyone struggling, that's the same case.